right, so we're gonna turn this over to Mike Cotton, and he's got a presentation for you. We will have to move the camera once or twice, but we did some practice runs, and I think this should work out pretty good. So I'm gonna get out of the way and turn this over to Mike.
All right, how you doing? I'm Mike Cotton. I've been turning for about 2 years. Been with the club for about a year now, and this is my first demo. And I like fishing. It's the whole reason I started doing this. I make cheap fishing plugs. Well, I got a lathe and then found out everything else you can do with it, and kind of blew up from there. But go through my process of making fishing lures. I have a quick PowerPoint. Go through, and then we'll get to the turn.
I could have did that.
All right, so fishing lures, they're not cheap, they're expensive. The top one you see on the right here is a commercially manufactured plug. It's $26.34. Underneath it, you see custom plugs that people make and sell. These are not production, they're not done with a CNC. These are hand turned, they're about $33. They go up to about $50 or $60 depending on the quality, usually of the paint and how much epoxy is put on, stuff like that. So you can build your own for under $5. Consists of a few things: a piece of stainless wire, nose grommet, belly grommet, tail grommet, and some hooks and swivels. You can see here on the right. Hold on, I can't see it. There we go. About $3.74 in hardware, including the blank. This doesn't include cost of sealer, paint, or epoxy, which is minimal because you're not using very much for this. Here's some of the plugs I've made and given away. Some freshwater ones on the left there. And the blue one I actually gave to Gene, who is part of the Ocean Wood Turners. Here's some of the fish I caught in the past 2 years with these. Just to give you an idea, they do work. So, all right, back to this. Here's one of those Gibbs plugs. It's flat on the bottom. That's for fast moving water. I fish the Cape Cod Canal. This helps it plane up to the top. This is, $26, $27, depending where you get it. So I decided to make my own. Here's some of the ones that I have made. Some fresh water here, some longer ones. These mimic the Gibbs. Large Danny style, big bombers. These cast really well. They're thick in the back, so they go out like a rocket instead of like these that kind of tumble a little bit.
Hey, Mike, zoom in a little bit. Okay. Thanks.
No problem. You can also make regular, what they call poppers. These are pencil poppers. These are just regular poppers, big mouth poppers, sometimes called. I use Alaskan yellow cedar. I get it at Cedar Place in the South County. Liberty Cedar, correct. I cut it into, 15 inches, 12 inches, depending on the size of the plug. You can also use basswood or balsa. Balsa, I was using balsa. It's very light. It's good for for fresh water. I get it at Hobby Lobby. It's $9. You use the 40% off coupon. It's about $5.40. Then you cut it into 4 pieces. And you're down to about a dollar and a quarter. So now we'll start the process. So first thing I do is,
Is that right where you want it?
yeah, that's good.
Okay.
First thing I do is mark out my tool rest. So just make a line here, line here. So I want to keep the corners square for drilling. So we'll just bring that in so I know where the tool rest is going to be. We'll just even out the blank, screw it up. So I'm going to be making this Gibbs style. Like I said, now I just kind of freeform it, but when I first started, I wanted to duplicate this. I don't have a duplicator, so what I did is mark it out every inch. Made this marked on the inches, so I'm going to make the lines here, and then these are the widths of the plug at those inches. Now the mark, just going to bring it around so I can see them. Take this, I'm going to clamp it down. Verniers. we're just gonna go down the line, marking them out.
Like, can you tell me why what's the difference? Are they all specifically measured a little bit more each time?
Right, so I measured each inch of this plug, added 1/8 of an inch to it, marked it out on a piece of wood. So now this, in these grooves, that diameter of the plug at that specific inch is 1/8 inch over. So I have room to just smooth it out at the end. So 3.
Like, do we want to flip the camera from the opposite end? Would that be easier if we do the in?
Yeah, if you want.
Get our video right there.
Here we going with it?
You have to go that way and where the camera will be in.
They wanted to move the camera, so is it the light?
No, I don't think so. No, it's just we'll get a better angle of the whole piece.
Okay. And then the last line is just the end of the plug. So I'll take a pencil, mark that so I know, just marking on the inside so I know that's the end of the plug. We're just gonna bring them all down. I can smooth it all out. With 220 grit. All right, next thing I do is mark where the eyeball is and the belly hook. Yeah, we'll go over the bandsaw.
Yep.
to be here a second.
Yeah, that's okay.
Let's see. All right, so my lathe has indexing for the cross lines, but making sure your tool rest is perfectly center. To me, it's just easier to take a 3/4 inch block, and it's gonna hit the line. There and there. Oh, actually, there. So, belly hook, eyeball, other eye. Then flip it this way. Mark it again. Belly. Eye. That way you can see where your lines perfectly. This one actually happens to be perfectly square. Then we'll drill it out. So for the eyes I use, it's a 1/2 inch. So I'll drill a 1/2 inch on each side. 61st. Set your depth. Lighten that up so the other side will be identical. So 1/2 inch for the belly, 1/2 inch for the eyes, 3/8 for the belly. Well, what I should have mentioned was, I didn't show it here because it takes a while. I drill all the way through, stepping up with longer bits on the lathe. Start with a brad point, go in as far as it'll go from each side, step up to 6 inch, and then the 12 to get all the way through. So you're going to run a wire all the way through, so it'll be as strong as it possibly can be. So since there's a hole going all the way through this, on the belly hole, I'm going to drill down until I reach that. So put this in and check. Not quite there yet. All right, so now we have a place to put the swivel in to catch the wire. All right, so cut the ends off. So I'm just going to cut the ends off. There you have the plug. Use a rotary burr. I don't know if can I see it. Turn over, yeah. So I use these in the eyes. It's not necessary. No, you can put it down. You can see it. All right. It's not necessary. Oh, that's a bad one. Let's see this. Trying to get it so you can see it. Bevels it in a little bit. Just gives it a nicer appearance. And also for the front, to give it a cup. You can also use that to hollow out on the big mouth popper. Save time, I'm not going to do that, but this is what I would use, just a regular rotary burr. So at this point, I would let's see here. Dip this down in the spar varnish. Stick a coat hanger, put it in there, bend it, dip it in, then hang it. You can hang it from whatever. I happen to have a piece of square pipe with holes in it that I hang over a piece of cardboard and let it drip. This is going to seal the wood from the water that's going to get in the inside.
That's marine spar.
Yeah, this is marine spar varnish. Exterior protection for the wood. Next thing I do after that's dried, I would prime it. That's this stage here. Prime it just regular Rust-Oleum, whatever is cheap, whatever, discount primer. And then the next step would be to airbrush it. That's also going to take too long to show, but you can see different scale patterns, all done with an airbrush. I never airbrushed before doing the lures. To get the scale pattern, I use like a loofah, an old loofah, and I wrap it over it, and then just spray the top color, which in this case would be the blue, and then you get a nice scale pattern to it. Then you peel that off, and the next step would be epoxy. So what I do is just regular epoxy, whatever's cheap. I happen to be using Amazing Clear Cast right now because I got it on sale. I use these little syringes. You stick right in the top, pull up what you want, mix it into a cup. Once it's mixed, I take a like an acid brush and paint it onto the lure once it's been finished painted. This is a rotisserie that I made. It's basically microwave for the turntables, wired into the cord from the actual microwave I took it from, and just a switch. Just turn the switch to rotates 3 to 5 revs a minute. This one here will do well, currently 5, but I have holes for 7. Whereas I don't really like this style, so I made this one, which can do quite a few more. It's still a standard microwave motor, wired into the plug from the microwave I got it from. Just circle jig out some plywood and glued it together with dowels. This one you can do, it can hold a lot more, especially if you clip them on. For the longer ones, I use the coat hanger that's on it, twist it around one side, and the other side is on the spring. So that holds it there. And then that'll rotate for, probably 24 hours before I get back to it. After it's done, well, I should have said I put eyes on first. I put the eyes in, then put it on, epoxy it in. The next thing is actually building the plug itself. I use 3/16 TIG wire. You can get it at your local welding shop, Amazon. It's pretty cheap. And they come in 3 feet. It's 1/16 inch. They come in 3-foot sections. Cut it down to what you need. I'm gonna use this one. It's a little long. The first thing you do. First thing I do is to make the nose hook. Just take the wire, bend it away from you, turn it around, grab it, wrap it over. Oh, sorry, can't see it. Grab it again, pull it back. Squeeze it together. Now you have a nose hook. I need to drill it out. Nose grommet goes into the front of the plug. This is what the wire is held in by. Keeps the actual wood from getting damaged. They make them in different sizes. This one happens to need a 5/32 hole. I drilled with 1/8, so it doesn't have to be perfect. You just take the 5/32. Just drill it out a little bit. Nose grommet goes in. Wire goes in. Belly grommet. This can be epoxied in, it doesn't have to be. And as that comes through, you take the swivel, you catch it with the wire. which can be tedious at times.
That's the tedious part.
Yep, because it's a swivel, so it swivels. And being nervous doesn't help, so. All right, there we go. Got it. You have your nose loop. All you do is you pinch this together to push it into the grommet and down. Now you have your nose loop. This is what you tie your line to. Belly grommet. Your swivels inside. Snap ring, which is what you would then attach the belly hook to. Then in the back, a lot of these I add weight to bring them up in 3 to 4 ounces of weight. So if you were going to add weight to this plug, that's a 1/2 inch for the bigger weights, lead weights. You would drill that out, force in a bit, 1/2 inch, slide that in. For this reason, I won't be using lead weight, just the tail grommet. Tail grommet goes on the wire, pushes right into place. Now we have to do a tail wrap, it's called. I don't know if you can see that, but I'll show you how to do it. Go over here.
Device.
Yep. Right, so I just used a punch of about the diameter, or the inside diameter of the loop you want to make. Doesn't really matter. This just happens to be the one that I use. So first thing you do, bend this over. I need my little pliers. So you bend it away from you. Then you take round nose pliers, bend it back. Now you have a loop. You see that? You're going to wrap the loop. Around here, take some vice grips. Grab the wire. Wrap it around. And then flip it over. And now we're going to do the wrappings, which tighten this wire, the through wire up. Around. Around. Usually takes 2 or 3 till it's tight. Oh, can you not see it?
That last one.
And I can see it's pretty tight. I'm going to do it about a 1/2 turn more. So now that's not going anywhere. That's nice and tight in there. You hear me the snips? I'm just gonna snip that off. Use the pliers to bend the little bit that's left over. Straighten that loop out. So there you have a tail wrap. So back.
All right, I just got the card.
All right.
There we go.
And then the tail wrap, put another split ring. And then that's what you would hang your hook off. I use 4/0 hooks made by a company called VMC. They're good quality hooks. It's probably the most expensive part of the whole build. And there you have it. Sick. Belly hook would go on as well. There's your plug. You just have to pretend there's eyes and it's painted in epoxy.
So where do you get the mute button for everybody?
Participants.
All right, so I just unmuted everybody, and then if anybody has some specific question for Mike, he can walk through in detail to answer your questions. You can finish what you were
No, that's it. It's done. Like I said, you can epoxy the belly hook in, the belly grommet. I do. These are epoxied in. The weights, if added, I epoxy those in. Just the standard 1 minute, 5 minute epoxy, whatever's cheap.
Yeah. So most of this stuff you just go to the fishing bait shop or
It's Plug Building Supplies, so I order them from New Jersey Tackle. It's an online store, and it's cheap. Like I said, the hooks and the eyes are probably the most expensive. The eyes are $3.
Bring the eyes closer to the camera.
all different
So
colors.
they have different colors, red,
Yeah, but bring
green.
them. Okay, there we go. And where do you get those?
New Jersey Tackle, njtackle.com. I think you can get the eyes on Amazon too, but I just get them all from the same place.
And you get different sizes. So different sizes. You don't have to buy them all. Just
right. These are 1/2 inch. They also make 3/4 if you're doing like a squid. Squid eyes are quite a bit larger. They're 3/4. Let's see. I've even used just your regular Google eyes from Walmart.
Make the fish dizzy.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
Are those eyes flexible or are they stiff?
The Google eyes are stiff. The eyes made for plug building are they're pretty flexible.
Okay.
So, you know, I learned that you need to glue them in. They're self-adhesive, but once you put epoxy over the lure, the air bubbles underneath the eye start to come out. So if you put them in and then a bead of CA around the eye itself will stop that air from coming out into the epoxy and prevent the bubbles in the eyes. So I keep everything organized in these bins. Tail weights, tail grommets, belly grommets, nose grommets. Like I said, they're pretty cheap. The presentation has the price is listed. But for 100 belly grommets is around $10. 100 nose grommets is like $3 or $4. 100 tail grommets is around $2.99.
You're prepared to build a lot of lures.
Right. You don't have to get them in quantities of 100. You can get them in 25, 50. But if you do any saltwater or even freshwater fishing and spend money on lures, on plugs, it's well worth it. Like I said, these are under $5 a piece to make, and if I were to purchase them at the store, they'd be 30 to 50 a piece. So saving quite a bit. A little bit of time involved making them, but it's well worth it.
Plus, we could put a link on in the newsletter of the supply store.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Does
So,
anybody else have any questions?
So, Mike, you don't have a microwave in your house that has one of those, has a rotary then, huh?
Yeah. Well, when I see them on the side of the road on a trash bag, I was scooping them up for a little while there. It took me quite a while to get rid of the carcasses, actually. This was those motors were actually an afterthought. I picked up the microwaves to do some fractal burning. So they were gutted and just sitting in the basement, and I was like, hey, I could use those motors for this. Took them out, and then that was probably a year later, I ended up getting rid of the microwave carcasses. My girlfriend was kind of pushing me to get rid of them. So finally
Yep.
did.
Nice.
So yeah, shape, size, it's all up to you. Different styles for different places that you fish. Like I said, these cast really far. They're not flat on the bottom, so they'd be good right offshore at the beach. These ones with the flat bottom, which the way I create the flat bottom is just press it up against the belt sander. So then it's flat, that's it. There's nothing else to it. But any fast moving water, that flat's gonna bring it right up to the surface, which is, it does this on the surface and they come up and eat them.